Hello and welcome. I'm Anne Nwawadu. Tonight, police paid tribute to 3 officers killed by soldiers during a covert operation in Taraba State, says officers were some of Nigeria's finest. President Muhammadu Buhari calls for investigation into killing of 3 police officers by soldiers in Taraba State. Court grants request of the Department of State Services DSS to detain leader of Revolution Now protest group and publisher of Sahara Reporters Omoyele Sowore for 45 days. And U.S. immigration officials released 300 people arrested in massive raids in Mississippi.
On business news tonight, Nigeria's 2019 budget under threat as oil price benchmark falls below $60 per barrel amid fresh supply concerns.
On sports news tonight, federal government restated support of Nigeria's bid to host the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup finals come 2020.
And from Abuja, the All Progressives Congress in Kogi State suspends Deputy Governor Simon Achuba for alleged anti-party activities.
It's a day of tribute to the 3 police officers shot dead by soldiers during a covert operation in Ibiwukari area of Taraba State on Tuesday. The slain officers are Inspector Mark Ediale from Edo State, Sergeant Usman Denzumi from Taraba State, and Sergeant Dahiru Musa, also from Taraba State. The Inspector General of Police described the slain officers a few of the finest, most disciplined, proficient, and hardworking police investigators in Nigeria. According to him, the officers contributed greatly to the progress made in fighting crime in the country. They were said to be part of the teams that rescued the Magajin Garin, the district head of Daura, as well as those arrested 22 members of the Boko Haram sect who abducted the Chibok schoolgirls in Borno State in 2014. The slain policemen also helped in the arrest of suspected kidnap kingpin Evans, as well as the arrest of Umar Abdul Malik, the overall commander of Boko Haram in the north central, and several insurgents, among other operations. And may their gentle souls rest in peace. Police authorities are obviously not giving up yet on knowing why soldiers of the 93 Battalion killed the 3 police officers, and they have been asking questions. The leadership of the police in a second statement released today seems not satisfied with the explanation given by the Army on Wednesday. They want more clarification and not what they call distorted information. They want to know the whereabouts of the notorious kidnap suspect, Hamisu Bala Wadume, who was reportedly rescued by the soldiers. They want to also know how and why he was released by the soldiers. How a kidnapped suspect properly restrained with handcuffs by the police escaped from the hands of his military rescuers. The police also want to know why Wadume was not taken to the army base for documentation purposes and debriefing in line with the standard operating procedure in the Nigerian army since he was declared a kidnapped victim. Lastly, the police want to know why its operatives were shot at close range even after they had identified themselves as police officers on legitimate duty, as evident in the video now in circulation. The police statement says answers are needed in order not to distort facts. The Army had said in a statement signed by its acting director of public relations that the incident was unfortunate and could have been avoided through proper coordination and liaison as the Nigeria Police Force and their partners in the fight against crime, such as kidnapping, amongst other internal security threats confronting Nigeria, of which the police is the lead agency. Meanwhile, the president has ordered an investigation into the killing of the 3 policemen by soldiers. The directive formed part of discussions between the president and security service chiefs at the State House today. They also reviewed efforts at securing lives and property in the country. They have expressed satisfaction with the progress made so far. Our correspondent Ibrahim Adra reports.
The Security Council meeting began at about 10:30 in the morning, lasting for upwards of 3 hours.
And we are satisfied
The Chief of Air Staff gave insight into what transpired.
The Council also decided that the unfortunate incident in Taraba State, in Ibi, a committee will be set up under the Defense Headquarters, set up by Defense Headquarters to critically investigate the circumstances.
He also warns against attempts to undermine the territorial integrity of the country.
No individual or group of individuals undermines the territorial integrity and sovereignty of Nigeria.
After the meeting, President Buhari entered the council chamber for an audience with a delegation from Adamawa State. The state governor who led the team thanked the president for his leadership and for working with sons of the state, including the secretary to the government of the federation. The team wants the president to convert the Modibo Adama University of Technology to a conventional university.
Adama University of Technology, Yola, an institution dear to us and important to the future of our young men and women, to be converted into a conventional university.
I am delighted to
The president says he sees Adamawa as a second home. He then traces the genesis of some of the challenges facing the country.
Many of the issues confronting our nation today, especially in the areas of insecurity and corruption, are directly or indirectly linked to the decades of underinvestment in education and healthcare.
He told his guests that a formal request be submitted, promising to review same and act upon. The delegation includes serving and former lawmakers, former military officers, and heads of some federal agencies and leaders of Adamawa State. From the presidential villa, Abuja, Ibrahim Adra, Channels Television News.
The police panel investigating the killing of 3 officers has arrived in Jalingo in Taraba State on a fact-finding mission. The Inspector General of Police has announced the setting up of this investigative panel on Wednesday, shortly after news broke on the incident. The team, headed by the Inspector General of Police, Michael Bezia, declined comment, saying that they need to appraise the situation before saying anything about it. The panel will proceed to Ibi-Wukari, where the incident happened, and that will happen tomorrow. Staying with security matters, this time in South Africa, where another Nigerian who was a coal cab driver has been killed less than 1 week after another one was killed. The leader of the Nigeria Citizens Association in Western Cape Province, Mr. Charles Elebiri, says Joseph Ajuna from Umuahia in Abia State was stabbed several times by passengers he picked in the Nyanga area of Cape Town in South Africa. His car and his belongings were also stolen, and he was certified dead at the time he was rushed to the hospital. Late last month, the Nyanga police had called an Uber and Bolt, formerly known as Taxify drivers, to avoid the Brown Farm crossroads and the Nyanga areas as robbers and hijackers continue to target the e-hailing service drivers. Just last weekend, another Nigerian taxi driver was killed by gunmen in Johannesburg. Nigeria's High Commission Ambassador Kabiru Bala, along with other mission officials, visited his pregnant widow and 2 children, where he promised that the case will be followed up so the perpetrators are brought to book. And we're now being joined on the news at 10 by retired General Cecil Esekaibe. We will be joining him later on the program. And to Abuja now, where the division of the Federal High Court today granted the request by the Department of State Services, the DSS, seeking to detain the convener of the #RevolutionNow protest, Mr. Omoyele Sowore, in custody, but only for 45 days, effective from today, August 8th. The DSS had asked for permission to keep Mr. Sowore for 90 days, but Justice Taiwo said the word may, as used in Section 27(1) of the Terrorism Prevention Act, gives the court the discretion to make a decision on the issue. Our correspondent Amaka Okafo tells us more about today's proceedings.
The vacation court is unusually full today, and this is not unconnected to the ruling on an ex parte application filed by the Department of State Services, seeking to detain for 90 days the convener of the Revolution Now protests, Mr. Omoyele Sowore. The DSS had on 6th, through an ex parte application, sought an order of court to further detain Mr. Sowore, having held him in custody since the 4th of August 2019 to enable them conclude their investigation of alleged acts of terrorism and treason. Delivering ruling on the ex parte application on Thursday, Justice Taiwo held that the court has the jurisdiction to grant the request, adding that Section 27 of the Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act, under which the motion was brought, empowers him to do so. Justice Taiwo said after consideration of the arguments canvassed by the DSS lawyer, Mr. Godwin Agbadua, he came to the conclusion that there is an allegation of commission of crime by the respondents and that investigation is still ongoing. He added that since the facts are allegations, which must be proven at the appropriate place and time, he was inclined to grant the application only to the extent that the respondent shall be detained for a period of 45 days for the applicants to conclude its investigation. Justice Taiwo, however, said that if at the end of the 45 days investigations were yet to be concluded, the applicants can apply for a fresh order but must not keep Mr. Sowore without an order of court. Mr. Sowore was arrested in the early hours of Sunday in a hotel in Lagos by men of the DSS on account of the Revolution Now protest, which he spearheaded to hold on Monday, 5th of August 2019. The matter has been adjourned till September 21st, when the 45 days ruled elapse. Amaka Okafor, Channels Television News.
Staying with legal matters, the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos today ordered the remand of the former chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Maurice Iwu, in EFCC custody till tomorrow, August the 9th, when his application for bail will be heard. This follows his arraignment by the EFCC before Justice Chuka Obiozo on a 4-count charge of concealment, fraud and money laundering of 1.2 billion naira. Professor Iwu has pleaded not guilty to the charges. In the charge, the EFCC claims that Professor Iwu allegedly aided the concealment of a sum of 1,203 million naira between December 2014 and March 2015. The money is believed to be part of the 23.29 billion naira slush fund allegedly shared by former Petroleum Minister Diezani Alison Madueke to influence the outcome of the 2015 presidential election. If convicted, the former INEC chairman faces a prison term of not less than 7 years and not more than 14 years, and that's in accordance with Section 15(3) of the Money Laundering Prohibition Act 2011. And in part two, after the break, the All Progressive Congress in Kogi State suspends the State Deputy Governor, Simon Achuba. Join us again.